Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Sitecore User Group Columbus. My name is Maulik Darji, and we have Himadri is our co-organizer of this group. Today, we are going to host a session from Rashmi Patwari. Rashmi Patwari is an enterprise technology architect with 20 years of experience in various industry domains, and she is also three-time Sitecore MVP and currently located in Boston with her family. Today, she is going to present Power of Sitecore Connect, a strategic perspective. So I'll give stage to Rashmi.
Hello. Hey. Yeah. So thanks for introducing Malik. I'm really glad this is the first time I'm presenting for Columbus, and I'm pretty excited about that. So thank you for hosting and this particular session. So I've been working a little on Sitecore Connect out of intrigue and interest, similar to all the other Sitecore projects. In my current scope of work, I do have the opportunity. So basically, I had explored the possibilities of using Connect for a particular client project, and I'm happy to share. So in the process, kind of unraveled looked great detail into the product and what it can offer. And this presentation is basically more like a nutshell of all that knowledge that I gained while working on it, and as well as learning more about it. So with that, let me just start. Okay. Yeah, this is. Okay. So today what we'll look at is, so basically just the description, more like, what I understand Sitecore Connect is in its placement within the Sitecore portfolio of products, its evolution, and basically strategically where it fits in the product suite, and as well as how it helps us connect, use it as what are the possibilities and the use cases of using Sitecore Connect. Then we'll take a look at from there a little bit, we'll segue a little bit into enterprise automation itself, what that is all about, and the use cases over there. From there, we will discuss the various operating models that integration and orchestration possibilities are possible in enterprise automation domain itself, which is kind of industry agnostic. Similar, they kind of apply similarly for most industries. That's what we have seen, and also a little bit into overall, like, when we call an integrated or more like, an integration in the cloud or integration in a PaaS environment. So what are the functionalities of a product like Sitecore Connect? We will see some use cases where I had explored using Sitecore Connect in a couple of use cases. And, if you have any questions after that, I would also have, it would be nice if you can share your experiences with, if you've used it already. That will help me expand my horizon and understanding of the product. So yeah, since it's a small group, feel free to stop me. I just don't want it to be like a continuous monologue. We can take questions as they come. We don't have to wait till the end. Okay. So yes, so this is the most recent products and services image from Sitecore site. So right now, it used to be part of the Engagement Cloud earlier. So they had those, I think all this changed after the symposium. So the products are kind of realigned again. So right now, Sitecore offers it as a capability along with the newly launched product Sitecore Stream. So this is where it sits on the product portfolio of Sitecore. What it enables us to do is, so basically it has enterprise level capabilities, and so it helps us to build integrations of faster, low code, no code. So it kind of gives us ready to use tools where we can kind of drag and drop and build integration quickly, and they're like scalable integrations. They're not like they're not small, and moreover, it helps us it kind of streamlines that entire governance process. So say for instance, you have different systems playing together. You have your own CRM systems, and then there could be a ticketing system, there would be a service now kind of a service management system. So we have so the data stays with the system itself. There is no need to kind of duplicate the data across different domains in an organization, but it helps us to streamline that entire workflow, connecting all these systems together in a single workflow, and have it and manage it efficiently. So that's what I've learned. It seamlessly enables us to do that. So one particular use case where I have seen, or basically we kind of provided that as a consulting for one of our clients, is where they had their entire digital service management system consisting of social media, websites, and also they call them as service lines. So all their different service lines, they didn't have a uniform tool which would kind of govern all of that together, or basically which will help them create workflows in a seamless manner. So that's where Sitecore Connect was played a I mean that it was suggested. I mean, we offered them as a solution for basically their integration needs. None of the service lines wanted to break down their they wanted to break the silos, but they did not want to change a lot in their operating models. So this is where it played a very neat role, wherein it helped us connect all the different service lines together in one single workflow and improve the efficiency. So that's one real life use case where Sitecore Connect enabled the possibilities. Okay, so yeah, textbook definition. So basically, it's more like enterprise automation itself is more like a paradigm or a strategic approach to integrate and automate, and and how we do it is basically using a set of methodologies, tools, technologies, and the operating models. We'll talk a little bit of detail into the operating models itself. What are the different choices we've got, and in the highlighted. So basically, enterprise automation enables us. What do we mean when we say it enables a democratized approach for operating or governance? So we'll talk a little bit of that in the next few slides. So this helps, like I explained in the client example. So it helps us to basically streamline the governance itself by connecting the data points in the various service lines or domains, or basically tools. In technical terms, if we just say tools, like if you want to connect like Jira, ServiceNow, and say your own CMS system like XM Cloud, or you want to use marketing automation, say Sitecore Send, or marketing or XDB based marketing automation. So all that is possible because this helps us build those integration, connecting all these different tools and data points together. Okay, moving on. So let's talk a little bit of on the operating models itself and what are the different choices that we have got. So we have got, so the first thing is the centralized model. Now this can be, this is most organizations have this when they start off, wherein when the team size, organization size itself is small, they do not have the, resources or the budget to have, kind of dedicated service lines or dedicated uh, offices or units for each of the different required services that the organization of the take, for instance, in this image over here, we have the HR and the CRM, and then we have the service ticketing management system. So where there is where you may have like just one person working in each of those domains, but you still want the data to be unified, and then you still want some level of workflow between these three, between all these different units. So a centralized model fits very well in such organizations, wherein you may have a single person or a dedicated team providing automation services for all these different units. And each of the units, if they have any automation needs, they come to the central service, that particular unit, and request them, okay, can you build a little bit of automation, or we want to automate this part of our service. Everything kind of is centralized over there. Governance is super easy because there's just that one team who is responsible for uh, choosing the tool set, developing the tech stack, as well as the entire governance part of it. So this model will work very well for small organizations, but like you can see, there are a lot of positive aspects of this operating model. But as the demand grows, as the organization grows, then this can quickly become a bottleneck, wherein all the demand will not be fulfilled efficiently and in a timely manner by this one team, who is mostly like the central team for providing automation. Is my pace all right? Am I going like too fast? If you have any questions, we can talk about it here.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you. All right. So moving on, then there would be just moving on from that previous example. If we now we can talk. What is this federated model over here? Now here, what we have, what this is like literally the opposite of the previous one, the centralized model. Here, every team is responsible for their own automation. So every team will have their own, one or two resources, or basically a team of resources specifically assigned for creating the automation needs or fulfilling the automation needs. So they choose their own tool stack, what tools they want to use within the unit, and then they develop their own automation requirements. So there is, if they want to kind of share data, then so basically it's a little bit of collaboration. So it can pose challenges in when it comes to collaborations, and say for instance they choose tools which are totally incompatible or do not have public APIs to build the integration needs, then this can become a bottleneck in that aspect. So a lot of negatives over here. Efficiency and that independence is the only positive point, but otherwise when it comes to integration possibilities and having that governance which can take care of maintaining that security standards across the organization, or having uniform integration methods and methodologies, that can become a problem in a federated model. So that's so this is kind of where our client was when we kind of helped them get out of this situation into a more democratized model, which is the third one over here, wherein this is more like the best of both, wherein individual business units and teams do have the autonomy of creating or fulfilling their own automation needs, but there is also a central governing body or a team which is responsible for validating the tools that the individual teams are selecting, as well as to just to make sure that they fit in the overall roadmap or overall company goals of meeting the automation standard of the needs. So that's where this democratized. So you do have the flexibility of teams defining their own integration standards and needs, but you also have a centralized governance which is taking care of maintaining and kind of fulfilling the gaps which are more seen in the federated model. So this is the democratized model. So the reason I'm discussing all of these different models is just to understand and appreciate that. So basically, integration platforms like Sitecore Connect / Workato are basically, they fit very well in any of these models. So you want to kind of switch or experiment with a different model from where you are today. You want to move towards democratized, that's supported very well as well, or you want to kind of use Sitecore Connect in exactly in the situation that you are in any of these three models. It fits very well. But as far as the documentation goes, and as far as where industry is leading towards more microservices and headless technologies, SaaS-based products. A more democratized models are fitting very well in enterprise automation. So with that, let's talk a little bit about the functionalities of how an enterprise automation overall should offer tools catering to enterprise automation. So at the top, you see the different use cases over here in their different maturity levels. Like we have process automation, just integrating applications, integrating data, B2Bs, and publishing needs. And then there are some emerging technologies, although I think this image is also a bit outdated at the moment, because AI integration is kind of a little more advanced than when I pulled out this image from Workato. So I think it should be more yellow now. AI integration, it is more emerging, definitely, and not in its incubation stage. So how do then we spoke about the different operating models, correct? So based on these scenarios, the different scenarios are they need a backbone of basically experiences, the governance model, as well as the different operating teams that are involved. So these are the different teams that might need all these automation scenarios, and the tool itself needs to basically have this whole set of the features which would help easy integration and which would enable that enterprise automation and fulfill all these different functionalities. Okay. So here's where Sitecore Connect or Workato stands as of January of this year. So basically, it is a leader in iPaaS, integration platform as a service quadrant of Gartner. Okay. From here, so let's talk. I mean, I'll not really go through each of these different concepts. That's because it's all available in the documentation. But I do have some notes for each of these, which might be more like a cheat sheet, or more like some points that we may want to really take a look at. So let me just connect all of those or go over all of those. So everything. So basically, it's pretty. I mean, conceptually, it's pretty straightforward. So each of everything. So the automation or the automation itself is called a recipe in Sitecore Connect. So they are like, think of it like a workflow, although it's not technically a workflow, but basically, and then they have a trigger point, like when the whole automation starts, and what it does would be actions, and then there would be and actions are again one or more steps. So again, we can have recipes calling other recipes. So just like if it gets the moment it starts getting too complicated, then it's wiser to have a recipe, more like functional recipes, as well as, and then having recipes call other recipes for manageability. So again, then there is so recipes, since we have to kind of connect the data points in different tools. So connections are so yeah, we'll get there. So I'm just jumping ahead of myself. All right. So about triggers, like I said, different kinds of triggering mechanisms. So we can have these three types. We can have real-time triggers. As soon as the event happens, the whole automation starts. Polling mechanism, wherein you poll every certain. I mean, it's self-explanatory. Or you can have scheduled triggers. Again, the dispatch itself, as in like what happens once the trigger. Once you receive the trigger, so are we kind of doing a batch operation, like we have a chunk of data to process, or are we doing does the trigger come with just like one piece of one package or one piece of data point, and then we are just so that would be like so there are the different dispatch mechanisms. So that could be single or basically batch processing. So again, like I said, there's a trigger action, and so each of the actions are involve steps, and in each step, so here are the different kinds of steps that we have. So once, I mean, instead of talking through this, I think when I show you the demo, I can show you on the tool itself what each of these mean. Okay, then there are data tree. Data tree is nothing but at every step in the recipe, you are dealing with data. So that would be, so that the data is organized as a tree, and each of the individual data fields are called data fields. So yeah, I mean, a little different from what we've been kind of, since all of us, working with most software, I mean, we're used to talking in terms of fields and records, and just relating it to the DBMS standards, but I mean jargon, but it's a little bit different the way this is represented, fields and data itself. So they still have fields. So a pill, it would be, I mean, they're just calling it as a pill because it is more like the point. I mean, the value itself is called a pill, but each of the I mean the data. So the value will have a field. It's called a field as well. So that's what. So here again, you're talking about different types of fields over here. So some are constants that can be used as in the recipes, and some are a variable which come as part of the data from one system to the other. Field mapping is nothing but, say, for instance, you're mapping two different systems. Jira, I mean, we'll see in the use cases that in the demo. So basically, data coming in from Content Hub mapped to the Jira relevant fields. So that is that's called field mapping. And yeah, so let's talk a bit about connections. So connections is the way. So this is interesting because this is specifically, I mean, I think when we talk to clients, or once the clients are kind of using Sitecore Connect, so they will be particularly interested, since this is a SaaS product, you pay by use. So the way Sitecore charges, or the way it bills you, is basically per connections. So the good part is that all the Sitecore connections, like if you're using making connections to all the Sitecore products like Send, Content Hub, CDP, Personalize, etc., they're all free, so they're not counted as a connection. But anything third party, like anything non-Sitecore, will be counted as a connection, and each connection will come with a pool of tasks. Say that depends on what you have purchased from Sitecore. So say you have 3 million tasks in a year. So then all the tasks are pooled. I will explain more when we look at the demo. So how you can optimize on your tasks, and how batch processing will help you optimize more on your budget over here than doing it like a record by record kind of a workflow. So we will take a look at all of that. And so yes, I mean,
So
again, yeah, sure.
So the pricing model is based on connection. Like there is no need for Workato licensing or anything. You just have to, like if you sign up for the Sitecore Connect, and then you create something that's not specific to Sitecore, then you just pay for the extra connection and you pay for the Sitecore Connect. Is that
correct?
The model?
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, that's the model. So the way it works is, so you pay the license fee for Sitecore Connect, and then the connections to the Sitecore products itself, they come out of the box for you, so you don't pay extra for those. But then you pay for connections to other third-party products. Say, for instance, I want to connect, Sitecore Content Hub and Jira. Then I pay for the connection to Jira. Based on the pricing model, they have different pricing models. So based on the pricing model, say I get with Jira, I get 3 million tasks per year. So all of them get pooled into the. So I don't pay for Content Hub and its tasks, but I pay for Jira and its tasks. So the 3
Okay.
million are, if that is the only connection I have in my tenant, then I only pay for those. I only pay for Jira. If I add in, say, a different thing, say for instance, I connect to SQL Server, then that will start using up my 3 million as well. So
Okay.
SQL Server again will come with, yeah.
Yeah. So typically, if it is Jira, like in an integration, then then typically it will be created by the company, like Atlassian in this case. Is that the case? Like, you know, Atlassian will create recipes and an integration point for Jira, and then you can go to Workato and subscribe those. Is that the way it works?
Correct, and also we do have, so we'll get there. There is also something like custom connections, wherein say for instance there is a product, it supports APIs, but there is really nothing of it. I mean, at this point the community library has more than like 5,000 connectors to pretty much. I mean, they advertise it like, you know, you can basically get anything. Pretty much connections are available to every possible tool and technology that's in use. Well, having said that, it may not be fulfilling your client requirements or what you're trying to achieve in terms of automation. So at that point, there is also a flexibility of creating our own connections using the connector SDK. So we will talk a bit about that. So that's how it. So yes, to your point, Jira comes well supported because there are community connectors available. There are out-of-box connectors available from Workato itself. So if Workato doesn't offer and if community doesn't offer, then comes the question of developing something using the connector SDK.
Okay, it's a marketplace model.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All
So, all right. Thank you. Then we have so some of the best practices I want to point out in the connections itself. So basically, again, a different authorization mode flexibility you've got. You can connect out to using any of these different access protocols, as well as then you have okay, these things. Yeah. So one thing to note is, so if you have a single connection, say for instance, on this side I have a connection to Content Hub, right? So this I can use the same connection for running a number of my recipes, and simultaneously, and they scale very well. All that is good, but in the same recipe, in the same recipe, I cannot have two connections to Content Hub. So like I cannot have a connection to one Content Hub and a connection to a different instance of Content Hub altogether, and have them all together in the same recipe. So that's not possible. And the other thing being like, so connections can be custom. So that we will take a look. How do we build custom connections? And also when it comes to best practices, so it's better to have, just for security reasons, since we use OAuth and so most times if you're using basic authentication or any kind of authentication method, it's better to have each of, let's say for instance, I want to establish a connection to Content Hub. Instead of using my user ID password, it would be better to have a Workato account created itself on any of the tools that you're trying to connect. So that will give us the flexibility that people leave organizations. If it is tied to a particular person, then the person is, that user ID or email address becomes void. Then at that point, all your recipes or your workflow can be affected. So it's better to have a dedicated user. I mean, that's the best practice, to have dedicated users for Workato itself. Also, for development environments, you can create some sandbox credentials itself rather than using real ones. So that's about connections. Again, we can say we do have a feature of basically taking a look at all the jobs that are run and the data, and you can export job reports. So all that is available in the tool as well. You can actually debug very effectively by taking a look at the entire input output of a particular job and export that as well. So yeah, so let's talk about a little bit about the custom connectors. So basically the way the product, what is, again, back to the basics, like what is Sitecore Connect? So what Sitecore has done is, so it's called a white label product of Workato. That means that it's basically Workato itself is embedded into your in your Sitecore portal as a product, and so everything behind the scenes, it's not like a copy, or it's not like any feature addition over Workato, but basically what we have is a set of custom connectors to using the Workato connection SDK. So all these in the custom connectors library, all the connectors that we see which are offered by Sitecore today. So Sitecore developed all of these using the connector SDK, and so that's how we, and they will continuously. So right now they have this many, and then they will obviously, I think, work. I've not seen anything added in the last 1 year, but basically, I'm sure Sitecore's, as and when maybe we demand, so they will continue to add these custom connectors. But in the meanwhile, we have if we have a real client requirement, and which, say for instance, we need to connect to some other Sitecore product which is not available today, then we can expand on that using the custom connection SDK. So there is some, there's a lot of, the documentation is pretty good. So, and then there are, I've put a link over here. So basically there is a more like a starter kit for creating a custom connector. So we can use that to start up as well. All right. So let's take a look at the demo use cases. I'm mindful of the time, so I won't take really long to cover up these. So over here, so basically what I want to demonstrate today are like a couple of use cases. So one, using Sitecore Connect as a integration layer between different systems. So in this case, so I will be, okay, I'll come to the integration in a bit. But yeah, so basically right now I can use Sitecore Connect as an orchestration layer. So this is kind of closely mimics the use case what we had developed for the client I mentioned earlier. So here what we had was Content Hub, the DAM, and then there was, so they wanted to, so this is more like license restrictions, right? Like, I mean, they didn't want, it's a huge organization, 5,000 plus employees. So, and most of them are have they have a huge Atlassian base as well. So Jira for workflow management and their ticketing system, and they didn't want to kind of duplicate so many licenses for Content Hub. So the requirement was to have Content Hub as the source of truth for all the assets itself, but use Jira for the workflow management. So that's where Connect played a very, like niche integration layer. It was very easy to build this integration layer or orchestration layer between these two systems, wherein anytime an asset undergoes change in the Content Hub, then that could update the Jira ticket, and then a new asset gets added that would create a ticket in Jira. So we'll see all of this in a bit. With that, I will stop sharing this, and I didn't get logged off everywhere. So let's start a bit from the beginning over here. So yeah, that's my Connect portal, my sandbox basically, and that's the so this is how the dashboard looks, and it kind of gives you some analytics over here, how your tasks and what are the running tasks and what's going on with your jobs. So in this, so let's look at the Jira ticket creation recipe itself. So it's pretty simple, like I've explained, like more like a scaled down version of what the actual recipe was for the client. So this gets triggered every time an asset is changed in Sitecore Content Hub. So we saw the 3 types of triggers, correct? So this was the real-time one. Then based on what comes over here, so let's look at, go into the editor mode, and so yeah, so I'm listening on the webhook for the asset change. So this is what the Content Hub publishes whenever there is a change in the asset. And based on that, let's look at the recipe data. So yeah, like this is the data tree, and each of them are called data pills. That's because they're real values coming in from from Content Hub. So that's my payload structure, and I've added in some custom fields to the payload from Content Hub. That would be the title of the asset as well as the ticket ID. The ticket ID is the Jira ticket ID. So based on these 2 data pills, we would be building our logic. So what happens over here is if it is an asset type, then I'm checking if that particular ticket ID is present or not. Ticket ID as a data pill on that packet that came in from Content Hub. And if not, so here's the Jira connection, which is, so Jira is more like a ready recipe that we have got, which comes with the triggers and the actions together. So like for instance, if I look at, so that's my connection to Jira. And so I can basically select, what I want. So basically which particular Jira board, and, like the workflow, and then I can, sorry. And here's the summary of that. Since this is a new asset and I do not have a ticket ID associated, here's where I'm creating the new issue in Jira, as well as, and then I update the same thing back to Content Hub. So more like that orchestration part, what I was describing. So, and then if I don't have a ticket ID, then I would update the issue and then create I just update the comment on Jira. Okay. So let me start this. Recipe, and then we'll see it in action. Okay, so this is running. So this is the job or the report that I was talking about. And so it shows us clearly, what happens. So this is simply waiting for the trigger to happen now. So for that, let me go to my Content Hub. Pick, like, maybe I'll just pick this asset. Okay. I'll try to make an update to this. So let's see. So it's waiting for jobs. Let's see if it picks up that update from Content Hub. So it received it. And something failed. Okay. All right. So it didn't like the summary. Now what? I don't want to fiddle around with this. I will try a different asset. Okay, let's try this. I'm still waiting here. Okay. So this seems to have on. Yeah, you can see that. So basically, here's the link. So this had an associated Jira ticket, GPL 29. So that's the reason we have this particular Jira ticket updated now, asset updated. And I have a comment added which says desktop. I mean, basically all I'm doing here is just adding the title to the comment and saying that the asset is updated. So that's the second part of the recipe that has happened. So let's try the first one. Okay, I'm going to upload something.
You have to click on create.
Sorry, yeah. I'll have to see something relevant. Okay, let me just add my own photo. Okay, so that's a new one. So right now in the the workflow, I have not added any conditions for. Okay, a new one came along. Okay. Okay, there's one more. Okay, it says it's successful, and let's see what happened here. Okay, we have some problem with the creation. Yeah, it's okay. Never mind. I'll not bother fixing it now. But yeah, I'll show you the entire job. So you know the debug part of it. So that's the package that we got from. So we can view that in JSON. And so this is the new. So I got this whole summary. I think it is not liking the new line characters in this, and that's what it's reporting as an error. and the entire, and here you see the summary of the job. It shows us the status as well as the exact issue over there. So that's the first use case. Sorry, that didn't work as expected, and it's part of it. Okay. So with that, let me go back to the presentation and then we'll look at the second use case. So here what I'm trying to do is what I'm trying to do is basically over here. So here, so all the here we are going to use this Sitecore Connect as a sync layer, wherein it's basically like a unidirectional workflow over here. So I want all the opportunities in Salesforce, which kind of are of certain, which quantify as something like, I have set some criteria for what opportunities to pick from Salesforce. And basically I want to create an update into SQL Server for all these opportunities, which are more like, high profile opportunities. So that's what I'm trying to do. We'll see that. And again, same thing, the logic, as you've seen before with the Jira use case. So we have, here we are going to use again 2 connections. One is Salesforce and the other would be SQL Server. So both my accounts, Salesforce as well as SQL Server, are in the cloud. So that's, and then we have, so here what we are going to take a look is, how to optimize on those tasks. So say for instance, you have a batch full of opportunities, but you do not want to kind of, process them by one, so that, because every time you process one record, that would become like a task, and it will quickly eat up into your pool of available tasks for that connection to Salesforce. So that's the reason. So I'm going to put a condition over there, accumulate all of them into some important opportunities list, and do a batch insertion into SQL Server. So both of this, so this particular step was added in. So some, like tweaks and workarounds to optimize on the tasks that we have got. So with that, let me go back to the Connect over here. So let's take a look at the opportunities. So same thing that I've shown on the presentation. Let me start this recipe. So I've got my Salesforce opportunities. I have created a couple of them for the demo purpose. And sorry, not this now. And then we are going to look at, this is my SQL Server. Let me refresh. And so we got 13. We hope to see more if the workflow goes as expected. Okay, so let me start this recipe. So this is based on, again, this is a scheduled trigger wherein it's going to trigger every 4 minutes, so it just triggered and it found some opportunity from Salesforce which fulfilled the condition. Seems like that's gone well, otherwise we would have seen a red. Now let's check SQL Server. Yeah, so you see that this couple of them got created, 14 and 15. And the amount was more than 9,999 as expected, and that's why they kind of made their way into the SQL Server database. So that was kind of quick and easy. The recipe itself, it's going to be a polling recipe wherein, and then we can set conditions wherein, okay, when the recipe first starts, from what point you want to pick up the events from. You don't want to kind of start from the beginning of the creation, we want to kind of set a date and start looking from there. So that's so all that can be set up again. This is the other intermittent list. This is again offered. I mean, this is the feature of Sitecore Connect Workato itself, where we can use lists which come as out of box. It's not considered as a separate connection. And then we have this batch upsert into the SQL Server.
This is
So
great.
that's, yeah. Any questions?
I'm wondering, yeah, so this particular example is actually Salesforce and SQL Server, right? And not anything to do with Sitecore, right?
In this, yes, in this particular thing, so yeah, Sitecore Connect is the only Sitecore part over here, but yes, it's not between, it's, I mean, both the products are third party over here.
Yeah, and in your federated model, like, as you were showing, I mean, if a company has that kind of model, they will probably use middleware for a lot of other purposes like this, right? I mean,
Correct.
I'm thinking like, so why, like he's kind of going from Sitecore Connect to other things, but if the middleware is heavily used for other purpose, like, does it make sense to actually license Workato and then Connect can be added? Actually, it seems like very Sitecore specific, but for some company, it probably will be used more on the other side than Sitecore.
Yes, I mean, like it's pretty. The product itself is very generic. I mean, you're right. In this particular use case, it is very Workato specific use case, wherein there's really, you're not using any Sitecore products, so there's no point in licensing Sitecore Connect from Sitecore, because in this use case there are no other Sitecore products involved where you would get that free connection part of it, right? So yeah, then it makes more sense to kind of license Workato itself from Workato. But
yeah, so if we let's say we license Workato and then is Sitecore, the Sitecore connector, are those available in the marketplace, or how to go with that actually?
okay, so you mean, yeah, I mean, you can buy Sitecore Connect as a product, correct? Like exclusively.
No.
From
What I'm saying is actually, say, for my company, I already have Workato. Okay. Now I'm using Content Hub, and I need that Sitecore Content Hub connector. So, am I going to get that in the Workato marketplace, or we have to actually go separate, like, buy Sitecore Connect license?
You will have to go from Sitecore Connect license, because so although you would go to the community library, but this is again the community library, which is not Sitecore Connect specific. But if you look for Sitecore, you do see the Sitecore created connectors available. Now, I'm not 100% if these connectors would be seen on the Workato instance or the tenant of the Sitecore library. I mean, the community library, because we are in the Sitecore portal. I'm thinking that this must be a curated, and this must be like a private list, because by default, a custom connector is private. So you will have to make it explicitly, you will have to make it public to be available. Like for instance, I look for anything else over here. So all these are like public connectors. But I'm thinking, because we are accessing it from the portal of Sitecore, we see those Sitecore connectors as part of this library.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a little odd for an organization. Sitecore may be like, a little part of it. Right. And this is kind of slapping a Sitecore logo on Workato, right? I mean, it looks like a Sitecore product, whereas company probably use like mostly for other purposes, right? So I was just curious, right? So
yeah. No,
okay.
that is I think that might be the one of the reasons why it's kind of, because most big enterprises already have a middleware or already set up. Like there's MuleSoft, which is pretty popular, and then they might already have Workato, like you mentioned. So I mean, product positioning wise, I think they are struggling a bit as to how exactly to package it. But there are certain niche use cases, like the one that, like, where in our clients, because our client was heavily Sitecore. Their CMS is Sitecore. They use Content Hub. Then they have plans to, they use a little bit of personalized, but they're not like CDP yet. So I think in such scenarios, it's fitting well. So that's why they're kind of conveniently calling it like a capability at this point, rather than calling it like. I mean, I believe it must be hard to sell it like any other Sitecore product if the like more like a standalone Sitecore product if the organization has nothing else Sitecore.
No, I think, Rashmi, it's a capability similar to Stream because it's not exactly a standalone product. It requires to work with some other products. And as it can work with each and every product inside core, like you can connect to XP, XM, Content Hub, very similar to what Stream is going to work. So that's the reason why they have put it in capability.
Yeah. I gather that. Yeah, that's the most logical explanation, because I mean it was part of Engagement Cloud offering earlier, but I guess they kind of reworked it a bit strategically so that now it is because it has to certainly work with other Sitecore products. So without which if there's nothing to integrate, what would you integrate, kind of thing. So yeah.
All right, thank you so much. I have to drop, but it was
so yeah, I'm pretty much done. That was the demo I had to plan on presenting today. And yeah, I mean the next one was, so really not much available out there, apart from, so Ivan Leakins is the only person to reach anything Sitecore Connect from Sitecore, and so Workato documentation is still the source of truth for working and creating anything in Sitecore Connect. So that's all I had, and questions. Yeah, thank you for your time, and yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. Right.
Happy Thanksgiving. One question. I have quick question.
Thanks, Himadri and Maulik, for hosting. Yeah, and then
thank you.
In this short time.
Rashmi, you have a minute. I have a question.
Sure. Yeah, we can speak.
It's a very simple thing. How I'm going to transfer one, like I'm working on my non-production and I want to migrate to another production environment.
Okay.
So is a package or how it will be done?
As of now, we don't have that, but Workato does support the CI/CD pipeline itself. Like you can use it in using any of the products that we normally use, DevOps or Jenkins. So that I believe that would be the only way to kind of promote packages between environments.
Okay. Good to know. Okay. I'll check it out. Thank you so much. Thanks, Rashmi.
All right. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. Nice speaking to you all. Bye.